Hello everyone, it's teacher Stephanie, and today we are going to talk about author's purpose. So today we want to look at the different purposes that authors can have for writing their text, and we're also going to read some texts and try to determine what is the author's main purpose. So what is the purpose? What does author's purpose mean? Everything that you read has a purpose. When the author wrote or created the thing that you are reading, the author had a purpose in mind, a reason why they wrote. So when an author writes something, a magazine article, a novel, a story, a newspaper article, he or she decides what their purpose or their reason is for writing. This purpose is the reason why they're writing the text. And we have three main author's purposes: persuade, inform, and entertain. So why do we study author's purpose? Well, the reason why we study author's purpose is because when you know what the author's purpose is, you have a better understanding of the text. You're able to determine the main idea, you're able to understand what the author is saying, and you're also able to ask better, deeper meaning questions and really think about maybe any alternative motives that the author might have for you. For example, if you're looking at something on Facebook, if the author's purpose is really to persuade, but you think the author's purpose is to inform, then when you look at that, you think, oh, this is information. I should believe this. I should do what it's saying. But really, the author is including a lot of their opinion, or the author's trying to change your mind. And maybe this isn't just for information, this is actually something that's trying to get you to do something or believe something that may or may not be true. Can a text have more than one purpose? Yes. When you read, you might think to yourself, I think this is informing me, but it also seems to, the author also seems to want me to do something. For example, an article about eating healthy. It might try to persuade you to eat healthy foods. And in order to persuade you, it might also include information. So it may also be informing you. What you have to do as a reader is you need to ask yourself, what is the author's main purpose? What is the biggest reason why the author wrote this? So here's a review of our author's purposes. The first author's purpose is to inform. If the author's purpose is to inform, you're going to learn something from the text. It's going to provide you information. It's going to teach you something. Some examples of things you will find are facts, details, instructions, places, events, people and descriptions of people. The second author's purpose is to persuade. If the author's purpose is to persuade, the author wants you to believe him or her, and the author may want you to do something. Persuasive pieces are usually nonfiction, and although they will include facts, there's also a lot of the author's opinions in the text. The main idea of a persuasive text is the author's opinion. And with a persuasive piece, the author wants you to agree with them and may want you to do something once you agree with them. When deciding whether something is informative or persuasive, ask yourself, does the author want me to do something, or is the author trying to change my mind about something? Or, if you already agree with the author, is the author trying to keep me agreeing with them? The last author's purpose is to entertain. So if the author's purpose is to entertain, then the author wants to tell you a story, maybe describe characters, describe places, describe events. The story can be fiction or nonfiction. It can be real or imaginary. It can be realistic or fantasy. And some examples of entertaining texts include plays or dramas, poems, stories, jokes, comics, novels. All of these are entertainment. The author's purpose is to entertain you. Let's do some practice. So use the information on the bottle to determine the author's purpose. It says, children's pain and fever reducer for fast, safe relief of fever and or pain. Tells us that the dosage for under 24 pounds, you must consult a physician. If the child is 24 to 35 pounds, the child should take 1 teaspoon. If the child is 36 to 60 pounds, the child should take 2 teaspoons. And you can repeat every 4 to 6 hours. So what do you think the author's purpose is? Is it to inform, entertain, or persuade? The correct answer is A, to inform. The label contains information and instructions on how to use the medicine. The author, whoever created this label, is telling you and giving you information, teaching you how to use this medicine safely. Okay, our second practice. Can you identify the author's purpose? His face appeared in the window. She knew he had been the cause of her waking at 3 a.m. Was she seeing things? Was his face real? She tried to lie still and decide what to do. Just then the window shattered. She flew across the room to the hallway and straight into her mother's room. So, the correct answer is the author's purpose is to entertain. This is a story. The author is trying to create suspense, trying to make you feel worried or afraid, and this story is probably fiction. Our last example. It is recommended that parents read to their children every day, starting as early as 6 months of age. When you read with your children, you are starting them off in life as a lifelong reader and learner. It is never too late to pick up a book and read. People in their 80s have learned how to read and discovered the pleasure of reading. Turn off the television and read a book. So, thinking about what the author said in this passage, do you think the author wanted to inform, entertain, or persuade? The correct answer is C, to persuade. This author is using an emotional appeal to do the right thing. Read with your children. The last sentence makes it very clear that the author's purpose is to persuade, because it says that you need to do something. You need to turn off the television and read. So how do you determine the author's purpose? What are the steps you should take? First, read the text. If you don't understand the text, read it again. Use your annotations. Read it again. Write the main idea. Read it again. Write the big main idea. As you're reading it again and again, think about that deeper meaning question. What is the author's purpose? You can also think about the genre of the text. If it's fiction, its purpose is to entertain. If it's nonfiction, its purpose is to either inform or to persuade. And ask yourself, what is the main reason the author wrote this? If the author wants you to do something, it's persuade. If the author wants you to agree with them, it's persuade. If the author is teaching you something, the purpose is to inform. If the text is mostly just facts, the author's purpose is to inform. Excuse me. If the author is trying to amuse you, then the author's purpose is to entertain. And if it is a story, then most likely the author's purpose is to entertain. Let me give you some feedback from some of the comments we got last week on Facebook. So, many people said that persuasion has to do with the author wanting you to read more or enjoy their book or enjoy their text. Yes, it's true that the author wants you to enjoy their work and wants you to keep reading. but that's not their purpose. Just because the author wants you to keep reading, that does not mean the author is trying to persuade you. That is not their big purpose, the author's big purpose. For example, you might read an information text about pandas, and it's really interesting and you really enjoy it. But that doesn't mean that the purpose is to entertain. The purpose is to inform you. The same goes the opposite way. You may read a story and you find it really interesting and you learn something from the character. Maybe the character goes through something emotionally or goes through something difficult and you learn something from that character. The theme, you learn the theme. Just because you learned the theme from that character does not mean that that story is to inform you. The author's purpose was not to inform you. The author's main purpose was to entertain you. If you think something is persuasive, I want you to ask yourself, what is it persuading me to do? If you answer, it's persuading me to read more, then the text may not be persuasive. The text is entertaining you if it's only persuading you to read more. If it's not persuading you to do anything else, like vote for someone or go out and do something, believe in something, change your mind, then that is not a persuasive text. It's either informational or entertaining. To be persuasive, the author must be trying to get you to believe something or do something. So next week we will be continuing our study of persuasive texts, and we will move into fact and opinion. And I hope if you have any questions about this, you can comment below this post and ask your questions about author's purpose. Have a great day!